When Joey Jordison took the stage last summer at the Metal Hammer Golden Gods Awards, none of us knew what we were about to learn. We learned that Joey had been fighting a rare medical condition that actually was one of the reasons why he departed from Slipknot. What actually happened over the next couple of weeks revealed that there was more to the story than just what we got from Joey himself, and that there were a lot of unknowns that were really placed within this timeline. Based off of what we know then, and also things that we know now in an interview, Joey still doesn't actually have a very good idea why he was fired from Slipknot. He still doesn't know the actual reason, and we are learning some more information from him that makes things, not exactly very clear. The timeline still is intact, but the reasoning still is a little bit baffling. So the new information that we've learned from Joey himself is that whenever he was in the hospital, which was directly after the last tour he was a part of with Slipknot, that tour where essentially he was being carried onto and off of stage prior to performing his parts in the songs, parts that were second nature and really not being up to snuff, he was in the hospital and was getting treatment, not to mention also learning exactly what was wrong with his legs, what was wrong with his body, which ended up being a rare disease that was on his spine. However, during that time frame, only one of the other members of Slipknot supposedly visited him in the hospital. Those are based off of Joey's words himself, which was something that was extremely hurtful to him. He found it hurtful considering he felt that he and the boys were family, and that whenever family goes down, you make an effort to go up and see them. Either which way, after things sort of went down, he gets an email and states that he's no longer a part of the band. And really, there's no sort of band meeting, there's no sort of meeting with the record label or anything. He's basically just out. Part of a band ever since its formation, and just ousted just like that, based off of an email. Joey reinforced to the fans that he would have never quit Slipknot, either that or he would have never done anything that would have removed himself from that situation unless it was absolutely critical. That Slipknot was his life, and essentially he was working to get his way back into the group. While he was still praiseworthy of the band's most recent output and their brand new drummer, there are still a lot of questions and a lot of hurt that seems to really be sort of ensconced within there. Something that still has a lot of healing left to do, and a lot of questions that still need answered. It's kind of amazing that all of these years later, the exact reason has never been revealed, especially if Joey's had any sort of contact with other members of the group. However, let's speculate real quick. Based off of the information that we know, based off of the information that the remainder of the band, the label, and all, important individuals had seen, there's only two reasons that I can think of that Joey would be fired from Slipknot. The first of which was the fact that they were planning on releasing new material, either that or had something in mind that was going to require Joey being at his best, and they felt like this was a potentially permanent injury. Something where since he was being carried onto and off of stage and his parts were not being played sterling silver, this was something that was causing concern, leading the band to believe that he was going to need replacing, that he was not going to be able to return to the band. That physically speaking, this was going to be a long and arduous process that Joey may or may not be able to conquer. And based off of that, they had to make a judgment call. But then there's also the secondary thing, where they didn't even know what was going on. They thought that Joey was strung out on drugs. And that's something that Joey himself has even uttered. Most of them believe that he was just strung out. And while we saw last year, whenever this was revealed, that Joey and drugs are not necessarily something that's all of that distant from one another, it was something that was brought up many times in the comments of the video that was done on this very channel about it. This was something that obviously wasn't the case. But considering the other members of the band, the press, and the label had no idea, it was perhaps an assumption that was required, and perhaps they were seeing Joey as a potential problem based off of that. Either which way, both of these are kind of interesting choices, considering what we have now learned. Considering the distance that sounds like had been put between Joey and the remaining members of Slipknot over the course of the following months, and that he was in the hospital, learning about his condition and getting the initial treatment for the condition prior to his dismissal from Slipknot. Either which way, as we continue to get more information, the plot just seems to thicken a little bit more. And I don't seem to see a lot of information coming from the other side. There's a lot of silence from the Slipknot camp regarding this, at least for right now. We'll see if that changes. I want to know what you think about some of this new information about Joey Jordison. Let me know in the comments below. My name is Cover Killer Nation, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.